In this episode, I'm doing a lifestyle audit with a listener by the name of Missy. She's a part of the Natural Nation. She has been listening for a while, and she wants to talk about weight loss. So if you're interested in that, I encourage you to stick around. Welcome to the Christian Healthy Lifestyle Podcast, where I help Christians over 40 maximize their health potential so they can age gracefully and live abundantly. I'm your host, David Sandstrom, naturopathic doctor and biblical health coach, and this is episode number 166. Today I'm doing a lifestyle audit with Missy Van-Leeuwen. Missy, welcome to Christian Healthy Lifestyle.
Thank you, Dave.
Well, it's a real pleasure to meet you. I always enjoy hearing from listeners, and I enjoy these episodes. So let's assume that we have a great conversation today. I give you some great advice. You implement, and 6 months from now, what would you like to see happen?
I think for me, I'd like to see some weight loss, but also just having a better relationship, a more godly relationship with food. I don't want to feel restricted when I eat, but also I don't want to feel like the shame of overeating.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that. That's a good goal. And do you have like a weight loss goal in mind, or?
I do. It's pretty lofty. I'd like to lose about another 100 pounds. I'm actually down 100 pounds from
oh my goodness,
where I was, but I feel like I've kind of plateaued. And so I know the next 100 is going to be more focused on spiritual and not just the physical responses of my body.
Yeah, I like it. So, all right, you've made major progress already. So I've got to ask you, what have you done already? What have you implemented?
Yeah. So about 6 years ago, I did have weight loss surgery. And so I had the gastric sleeve bypass 6 years ago, and that has maintained about 75 pounds off consistently. I did have a little period where I was up, and now I'm just really watching what I eat, trying to lean more towards proteins and less towards any carbs.
Yeah.
So that's really what I've done to get that total 100 pounds off. I haven't implemented a whole lot of working out. I do some basic walking every day with my dogs, but nothing as far as like muscle building, really focusing on my core, things like that. But that would be one of my other goals, is to get moving more and more so that I can, live a long and productive life and don't end up, in a wheelchair bound or something like that with all my knees and hips and everything replaced. And so that would be my goal.
Yeah. Okay. Good goals. Love it. That's really good. I'm really glad that you signed up for this, because I think I got some things to share. I think are going to be useful for you.
Okay.
So one of the things, I'm holistic. We are a spirit, we have a mind, and we live in a body. And, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and I see you are as well. And that's great. I really appreciate that. But, we can talk about the physical a lot, and I think we should talk about that quite a bit today. But one of the things that you want to address is your cortisol levels, right? So we want to keep our cortisol down during a weight loss period, because when you elevate your cortisol, it interferes with the process of losing weight.
Okay.
So, and I love the idea that you're doing walking. I was going to suggest that anyway, is that walking is a great low stress form of movement, form of exercise, that you won't be spiking your cortisol, your stress hormones won't be like going out of control like some people do with these long cardio sessions at the gym. That's counterproductive to weight loss for sure. And I would say if you're over 40, it's counterproductive, period.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Yes, we need to move, but, doing things like, preparing for a marathon is, at our age, probably not the greatest idea. I have a 23-year-old daughter. She just ran a half marathon on Thanksgiving. And, we were all down there with signs and cheering her on and everything. But, long cardio at the gym is probably counterproductive.
Yeah.
So, I think that, eat less and exercise more is pretty shallow. It's just not
Yep.
really working for most people. So we've got to go a little bit deeper. So considering cortisol levels, how's your sleep?
I do use a CPAP, and I get between 7 and 8 hours
Okay.
of sleep. Now, there's definitely some waking up, but I fall back to sleep pretty easily.
Okay.
So,
So you've been diagnosed with apnea?
yes,
Yeah. And how
probably
long have you been on the CPAP?
12 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I first noticed it when I'm a nurse, so I was working night shifts. And even after I would get a whole streak of day shifts in a row. I would still just feel exhausted. And I had always blamed it on working night shifts, but then we looked into it further, and my doctor's like, maybe you have sleep apnea. So, and it's
Wow.
not a severe case. Like, my pressure is only 5, if you know much about that. So pretty much on the low end of the pressure support for CPAP, but I don't even take a nap without it anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I love it.
Good. Good. I'm glad it's working for you. If it's working for you, that's fantastic, because that is super important, right? As you know, as a nurse, you know how important sleep is. I was actually, I'm a normal weight. I'm 5'9". I weigh about 175. And I actually had the same issue. I had, waking up not refreshed, and I went and got a sleep study, and they said, sure, yeah, I had apnea.
Yeah.
My wife said, yeah, I hear you snoring, but I don't think much of it. But when I did the sleep study, they said, yeah, it's mild, but
Yep.
it's there. And they actually prescribed a mouthpiece.
Oh, okay.
And so I wear a mouthpiece even in naps, and especially sleeping on an airplane.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you go on a long trip, it helps a lot. So the mouthpiece works for me. And, if the sleep is being compromised, that's got to be a priority, right? I don't like having this synthetic material in my mouth. I think it's made out of nylon, which is probably not ideal, but I think I get a net benefit by using it, right? My sleep is so much better that I'm overcoming whatever drawback there is to the toxins that I'm ingesting from the mouthpiece itself. So anyway, you seem to have a handle on that. That's good. That's really good. So do you know your fasting insulin and your A1C?
Yes. So my A1C was 7.5
Okay.
in June, I believe.
Okay.
And so they actually did start me on metformin.
Metformin. Yep.
And I actually am going to get my labs drawn today for my follow-up.
Okay.
I had some GI issues from just the metformin, so we adjusted in September to just 500 milligrams once a
Okay.
day. And now it's been 3 months, so I'm going to get
You gotta
that
go check it out.
looked at today.
Okay. All right. Real good. And have you ever had your fasting insulin checked?
Yes, that was last at 115, also in June.
Not fasting glucose, but fasting
Oh,
insulin.
fasting insulin. No. I have not ever had that.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So glucose was 115. All right. All right. Okay. So, all right, we got some things to work on here. So it's diet. You're precious stage diabetic, right? So they've got you on metformin.
Yep.
And so insulin resistance is an issue. Now, I'm guessing you haven't been on their insulin problems all your life, right? So this probably came on in adulthood?
Right. Yep. It's come on in adulthood.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's actually good news, because it's treatable with lifestyle factors, right? So there's things we can do. So, and I know you've made some progress on nutrition, but let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
So, there's a lot of confusion on nutrition, and I just told you before we hit record is that I just produced an episode on nutrition, and it'll be actually going to come out before this episode airs. So don't remember the episode number exactly. I think let's see here, probably episode 162.
Okay.
I think it is. So anyway, I didn't talk on nutrition there. But the biggest thing about nutrition is this. You hear all kinds of different advice from all kinds of different people. But I go back to the biblical principle of we should be eating food as close to its God-given natural form as possible, right? God made food for our consumption, and he provided the nutrients available for us. The more man gets his hands on our food supply, the worse it is for us. So whether somebody's eating vegetarian or vegan or paleo or Mediterranean or carnivore, you name it, keto, there's one thing all of those eating programs have in common, and that is they move away from processed food. Mm-hmm. So by moving away from processed food and eating it close to its God-given natural form, we're doing two things. One, we're getting away from processed sugar, right? We're going to dramatically decrease our sugar intake. And as a nurse, you know what that can do to our blood glucose. Yep. And the second thing is we get away from seed oils. You know, I don't know where you're at on that, but episodes 141 and 142, I believe it is, I talk about seed oils. Had a question from a listener by the name of Jeff, and it's a big deal. In my opinion, that the advice to reduce saturated fat and replace them with vegetable oils or polyunsaturated fatty acids is a really bad advice. I go into a deep dive in those two episodes, but by getting away from processed foods, you'll automatically be getting away from the seed oils. So another massive source of seed oils is eating out at a restaurant, because they're cheap. They don't really alter the flavor of the food much. So if they're frying something on a grill, they'll use it. They'll use it in deep frying. So one of the worst things we can eat for anyone, weight issues or not, is to eat deep fried anything. You know, deep fried French fries, chicken wings, yep. Really, really bad for us, because our bodies have to take the macronutrients that we're taking in and turn it into us. And those seed oils are subject to damage. They're subject to oxidation very easily because of their molecular nature, the polyunsaturated nature of them. So to be polyunsaturated means they have more than one double bond to the molecular structure. And that double bond creates a kink in the fatty acid tail. And when that kink in the tail bends, it opens up and exposes that fat to oxidative stress from light, heat, and pressure. So even if they could extract those oils without exposing them to heat, light, and pressure, which they can't, but even if they could, it's going to get spoiled in the grocery store because it's sitting in a bottle on a shelf being exposed to light. And then even if it survived that, they have very low flash points. So when we cook with them, you're going to have toxicity coming out from the heat. And then our bodies are, 98, 99 degrees. That's also a very warm environment for those oils. So they'll spoil inside the body. So it's bad all the way around. And one of the things, and the research is piling up these days, is that if you have a diet high in polyunsaturated fatty acids, we call them PUFAs, P-U-F-U-As. If you have a diet high in PUFA, that you are going to be more insulin resistant. You're going to have more of a problem with blood sugar spikes and processing than a diet that's more saturated fat and more animal based. So my recommendation is to lean towards animal based foods, but go for the ruminant animals: cows, lambs, sheep, goats, bison, elk, deer, venison. Those are all good sources of animal flesh. So those are what you should focus on. Okay. The reason why poultry and pork are not the best choices is because most farmers, all farmers, they're in the business to make a profit, right? Sure. And when you feed an animal their natural diet, you need more land, and it's much more costly to do that. So the cheaper route is to keep them confined in a pen or a very small piece of land and feed them government subsidized feed. Mm-hmm. So our government heavily subsidizes corn and soy. So the cheapest animal feed is corn and soy based. So those are, a kernel of corn is a seed and a soybean is a seed. So those animals are consuming way too many seeds in their diet. A pig or a chicken are omnivores like human beings are. We're supposed to have a variety of foods. We're supposed to be consuming both animal products and plant products. But when you feed an animal like a pig or a poultry, a turkey or chicken, nothing but seeds, their flesh and the eggs from chickens are very high in linoleic acid, which is a polyunsaturated fatty acid that's very destructive in high amounts. We need some of it. You can't completely avoid it, and our bodies do need some. But about 2% of our caloric intake should be linoleic acid or polyunsaturated fatty acids. The average American diet, the SAD diet, SAD, Standard American Diet, about 20%. Way too much polyunsaturated fatty acids. So getting away from processed foods, staying away from restaurants, taking the time to prepare your meals at home is going to go a long way towards your insulin resistance and your blood sugar levels and managing those spikes after a meal. So that was a mouthful. Any questions?
Not that I could think of right now. I think one of the things that I get confused about when you say seed oils, like what are examples of seed oils?
Great question. They call them vegetable oils, but that's a fallacy. They're not vegetable oils. They're seed oils.
Okay.
Things like canola oil that comes from the rapeseed plant, corn oil, obviously corn, soybean oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, cottonseed oil. Those are all seed oils. Okay. And you'll know it's a seed oil if it's liquid at room temperature. It's going to be polyunsaturated fatty acid. Saturated fats like coconut oil, lard, butter, they're solid at room temperature because of their molecular nature. So saturated fats, solid at room temperature, mono and polyunsaturated fats, liquid at room temperature.
So your avocado oils and your olive oil are liquid, but are they mono?
They're mostly mono. Okay. So they're better than the other seed oils, but avocado oil would be good, and olive oil are great, except that they're commonly adulterated.
Okay.
I don't know how they get away with it, but they do. And most olive oil sitting on the shelf, even at health food stores, is compromised. It's adulterated with seed oils. Because again, the seed oils have a more or less a neutral flavor, and it waters down that product, and the average consumer doesn't really know the difference. And they make more money. It's really all about profits. And they sneak that in, and they have 100% extra virgin olive oil on the label, and there is some extra virgin olive oil in there, but not the whole bottle.
Okay.
In fact, this is going to get a little complicated, but episode 165, I'm talking with an olive oil farmer over in Greece. My wife and I were over there last June, and we did an olive oil farm tour. And I said, man, you would be a great guest on the podcast. So I had her on, and we did a tasting over there, and she taught my wife and I how to recognize real extra virgin olive oil. And it's not difficult. Real extra virgin olive oil has a strong odor to it, and it's very pungent to the taste. And when you swallow it, it's very bitter. You can taste it in your throat. The stuff you get at, I'm going to go ahead and say it, Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, it doesn't taste that way. Yeah. Because it's adulterated with seed oils, cheap, toxic seed oils. And I think the same could be said for the avocado oil too. Now, if you're going to have mayonnaise, I would choose Primal Kitchen avocado oil mayonnaise. That's going to be a better choice, but it's probably still not ideal. Avocados, ideal. Great source of fat, eating an avocado, again, in its unprocessed form, right? As close to its God-given natural form as possible.
Yep. Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, that helps. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Real good. Okay. So by getting away from the seed oils, eating more natural foods, staying away from the restaurants, preparing your meals, I believe you'll be able to cut back on that metformin. I think you'll be able to, discuss it with your prescriber. Yep. Right? Absolutely. Have them monitor things. You don't want to be taking things in your own hands here. Work with your doctor and say, hey, I'm making some changes, and we'll see what happens. So I know that you're walking for exercise. It's super important to walk after a meal, because any meal we have, our blood sugar is going to spike some, and we're going to have an insulin release to balance that blood sugar back out again. As you know, as a nurse, that blood sugar has to stay in a surprisingly narrow range in the blood. I mean, too high, we have a big problem. Too low, even bigger problem, be fatal. can be a fatal event. That's why you have to have, when you're on medication, you've got to be monitored. You can't just be making massive changes and not be, working with your prescriber.
Right.
But I think my advice to you is try to get up and move after every meal if you can.
Okay.
Even a 5 or 10 minute walk would be really, really good. And exercise, that movement, helps to drive that blood sugar, or the glucose, from the blood into the cell where it belongs. And, that's insulin resistance, is our insulin receptors become numb, so to speak, of the process. They get a little bit overworked and they just become numb to that whole idea. But you can come alongside the body's natural mechanisms by, cooperating with our natural design. And that is to move and get some exercise going. And that's going to help with your insulin spikes after you eat.
Okay.
All right. How many meals do you eat a day?
Usually 2, sometimes 3, depending on just kind of when my day gets started. Mm-hmm. So I work from home, so sometimes I start at 8 o'clock and I am fast and furious and I kick my coffee in at 10, and then I'll probably just have 2 meals. But sometimes it's a slower day and I will then I will end up eating breakfast right away.
Yeah.
So then it's 3 meals.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. And what do you snack? Do you have any snacking throughout the day?
I do. Usually I have a snack around 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Okay. All right. So are you getting a 14-hour fasting window in every day?
Probably not quite 14.
Yeah. Okay. I would say that's something you could shoot for. You don't want to go too long in fasting, because if you go, some people, I'm going to go 20 hours every day. I'm going to eat all my food inside a 4-hour window. You can do that. A healthy person can do that. A top-level athlete can do that. Mm-hmm. But when you're working on issues, you don't want to fast that long, because you're going to be elevating your stress hormones. When that cortisol goes up, the insulin resistance goes up. Insulin resistance goes up with it.
Okay.
So it's good to fast. Autophagy takes place, apoptosis, where our cellular renewal processes are all going on during a fast. So we should have a daily fast. And again, I think this is cooperating with our God-given design. Mm-hmm. God designed us for 8 hours of sleep a night. Nobody's eating when they're asleep, right? So God designed our bodies to abstain from food periodically and on a rhythmic basis with the circadian rhythm of the rotation of the planet, and that's a good thing. But stretching that out to long periods right now, when you're trying to lose weight, is probably not the best idea.
Sure.
So here's another question, and I'm probably going to produce an episode in the very near future on this topic, because we could spend a long time on this one.
Yeah.
Do you count calories?
I do not.
Okay. Very good. Good.
Good
for you.
No calories. I don't look at macros. I just kind of decide what I want to eat as I'm eating. So, I mean, some of that is not great, but yeah, no calories, no points like Weight Watchers or anything like that.
That's really good. That's excellent. I'm just going to say a couple of things on that. Is, this calories in, calories out. Oh, it's a simple linear equation. It's a straight line on a graph. It's baloney. Okay. There are so many factors. Our bodies are so complex, and so many factors that are interplay in that whole process that it's almost laughable that the experts are still recommending that, even after the science has absolutely debunked that whole idea. Our bodies are capable of eliminating some of what we eat, right? Our bodies are capable of processing those nutrients, taking what it needs, and eliminating what it doesn't need. So this whole idea of, just another quick example. The room temperature will make a difference. If I step outside in the winter and it's colder outside, my body's going to start working to keep my body temperature up. And if it's 30 degrees outside, it's going to work harder, and I'm going to burn more calories than I would if I walked outside in a 75-degree day, right? So there are so many factors. How's your thyroid doing? How's your sleep? How's your exercise? How's your digestion? What's your microbiome doing? There's so many different factors in there. It's crazy. Hormone balance, neurotransmitters. It's crazy how complex it gets. So I like to say this, and I think it's appropriate here, and I think you probably understand this. we don't lose weight in order to get healthy. We get healthy in order to lose weight, because a healthy person doesn't struggle with their weight.
Right.
Right. So if we're embracing a healthy lifestyle, if we're doing the things that we should be doing to build health, then the weight will come off on its own, because our bodies have a God-given built-in intelligence and they know how to thrive. We've just got to get the obstacles out of the way.
Yeah.
So that's what a good practitioner, that's what a functional medicine practitioner will do with you. They'll be looking for the root cause, looking for the obstacles that are preventing your body from doing what it already knows how to do, and that is to heal and to thrive. Any questions there?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Real good. So with that said, I want to mention this. I have a weight loss protocol on my Fullscript dispensary, and if you go to my website, christianhealthylifestyle.com/protocols, you can click on the weight loss protocol there. If you already have an account, you're going to be taken straight to the protocol. If you don't have an account, just put your username and password in. You create a free account, and you can get my weight loss protocol there. Now, there's a couple of products that I want to talk about. They're both by Pendulum, and it's a GLP-1 agonist. They have a probiotic for that, and they have another one called Glucose Control Pro. Have both of those on the weight loss protocol. And have you ever toyed with the idea of doing an Ozempic or something like that?
I have, but the only reason I haven't is because I know that there are some small bowel obstruction issues related to with some people that have the GLP-1s.
Yep.
And also having
yep.
had the gastric sleeve bypass, I'm at a higher risk. I just felt like doing something oral would be a better plan initially than going straight to the Ozempic GLP-1 family.
What are you doing orally?
The metformin, 500 milligrams once a day.
Okay. So you're not doing the injection. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No injections.
I got you. Okay. So this product by Pendulum, and I'm probably going to put together a course in the very near future that focuses on these products and helps people do exactly what you're trying to do. But this product, the Pendulum Glucose Control Pro, it's been tested. They've done clinical trials with it, and it's been shown to be as effective as the GLP-1 agonist injection drugs, which is really amazing. They have it's called a probiotic called Archimancia, and that they have a patent on produce. They're the only people that know how to produce that, and they have a patent on it. So it's a product that's really, really good and targeted towards gut health and establishing a microbiome that's friendly towards your body producing its own GLP-1 and therefore, suppressing the or triggering insulin release and blocks the secretion of glucagon. Glucagon is the hormone that to raise blood sugar levels when they're low. It also slows digestion, so it slows the stomach emptying, increasing your feeling of satiety.
Okay.
All right. And so it makes you feel more full after a meal, just like the drug does, but in a more natural fashion, the way our bodies want to.
Yeah.
Now, that GLP-1 is not too bad, but the glucose control, as far as price goes, glucose control is an expensive product.
Sure.
And I would only recommend that for somebody that was thinking about getting on meds, right? So I think a bottle of the GLP-1, a month supply is about $179 with the 10% discount that you get with my dispensary. So, but it's medical grade.
Okay.
Right. This is doing something that, and a lot of times when I had my practice, people would come to me and they'd say, "Hey, here's a list of drugs I'm on," or they come in with a box full of stuff.
Yeah.
Can you show me which supplements will do the drugs that I'm doing? Do what the drugs do in natural supplement form. And generally speaking, that's just not possible. Drugs are just potentized products that take command of our body systems, either block or inhibit things. Natural products don't do that for the most part. Right. But this is a natural product that you can buy without a prescription that will actually do what the prescription version does. It's pretty amazing. Okay. So I would encourage you to check that out. Any questions there?
No. And yeah, I think one of my questions that I have in general is like, how do you determine what vitamins are high quality for the cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I would like to take like a magnesium because I do get migraines and I know that magnesium, but I know the stuff that I get from Walmart is probably not the best stuff.
Yes.
But how do I even know what is a high quality vitamin? And I'm sure that's a whole nother conversation and episode.
Well, yeah, it is, but I can answer that pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, you probably don't want to get your supplements from Walgreens or even Costco. And I
Sure.
like Costco. I shop there, but I don't get my supplements there.
Yeah.
And the best litmus test is, are those products GMP certified? And GMP stands for Good Manufacturing Practices. And when you get that certification, you are opening up your facilities to inspectors. And they come in, they inspect your production facilities, they inspect your supply chain, and they pull random bottles off the shelf and send them to a lab and see if what's inside the bottle actually matches what's on the label.
Okay.
So this is taking this is what the supplement industry needs, because it is, for the most part, it's largely unregulated. But if you are a manufacturer and you voluntarily submit yourself to the GMP certification, that is a really good standard. It's a way to separate the weekend warriors from the pros.
Sure.
Right? So that's what you look for, is GMP standard. And almost everything on Fullscript is practitioner only, medical grade, GMP certified products.
Okay.
And so I'm starting to recommend it on almost every episode I do now, because it's that important. You don't want to be wasting your money on products that don't work, or worse yet, spending money on products that are actually harmful for you. They have, toxins in there, especially when it comes to detox products like, activated charcoal and those kinds of things. Because if charcoal attracts toxins, which it does, it could do that in the environment. So you got to make sure you're getting clean raw materials before you put it in a bottle or a pill form.
Yep.
So there's a lot of reasons why you don't want to just buy your supplements from anybody or buy the cheapest thing you can find. There's a reason why they're cheap.
Yep. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And a Fullscript, if you use my dispensary link, you get a 10% discount for life, and they'll ship right to your door. Free shipping on orders over $50. It's a no-brainer. And yes, I do make something off the purchase. That's one of the ways you can support the show is by doing that. But it's a win-win-win. Everybody wins here.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So let me see. Oh, there's one thing I wanted to mention as well, Missy, and that is, you said you don't really look at macros. I would say counting calories is futile, but macros I do think is important.
Okay.
There's a macronutrient ratio that your body likes. Now that can shift depending on the state of your microbiome, your thyroid health, and a lot of the rest you got. The time of the month for women. There's a lot of variables there, but there's going to be a set point that your body likes.
Okay.
And so I tell people the best way to experiment with this is, for breakfast one morning or lunch or whatever your first meal is of the day, have a sirloin steak, nothing else. And then note how you feel before and after. Look at your satiety, look at your energy levels, your memory, your sense of well-being, your mood. It should all be uplifted after a meal. So you want to compare how you felt just before you ate, and then look at how you feel about an hour or so later, maybe 90 minutes later.
Okay.
And write it down. And then the next day, drink a tall glass of orange juice, nothing else, for breakfast. And write your reactions down again. I think you'll probably see, if you're like most people, see a drastic difference between those two nutrients. So the orange juice is going to be super high in carb, right? And no fat. And the steak is going to be super high in fat and protein. So if you find yourself doing better on the steak, then you should have a much higher macronutrient ratio of fat and protein in your diet. That doesn't mean zero carb. I'm not a fan of low carb or zero carb.
Yep.
Our bodies are designed to use carbohydrate as fuel. But we're also like a hybrid car. We're also designed to shift from burning carbohydrate for fuel and burning ketones for fuel, right?
Sure.
And that's when we do that in a fasted state. Now, you can simulate a fasted state by going zero carb. It's the craze these days, right? A lot of people doing keto. I'm not a fan of keto.
Yep.
I don't think in the long haul, I mean, it could help you lose weight. Sure. And I'm almost hesitant to say that, but you can rip some weight off quickly with that. But it's not going to be good for your hormone balance, your neurotransmitters, your gut health. There's a lot of things that'll suffer if you stay zero carb forever. It's not a healthy way to go. Mm-hmm. So look at your macros. So you want to shoot for, it depends on where you're at. If you felt great on the orange juice and you felt sustained energy through the morning, then you're probably a carbohydrate type and you want to have a higher percentage of carbs in your diet. All right. So better than fruit juice. I mean, that's a lot of sugar, right?
That is a lot.
If you weren't having any issues with insulin resistance, fruit juice is okay. But if you are, you probably want to stay away from that as a staple.
Yep.
Right? Consider it a cheat. But I did a couple of episodes. I forget the numbers of the episodes off the top of my head. It's around those 140s time. Excuse me. But I talk about how to get quality carbohydrates from vegetables. And I would say focus on eating root vegetables. Now, a lot of root vegetables will have lectins in the peel, in the skin. So the best way to eat a root vegetable like a carrot, a turnip, sweet potato or white potato, those types of things, is peel them and cook them in a pressure cooker. So You're going to do a lot to eliminate the lectins and the oxalates and the other plant defense chemicals that are in there. Okay. Are you familiar with the plant defense chemical discussion?
Nope.
All right. We'll cover it real quick. We're going to run a little over on time here, but this is important.
Okay. Yep.
So animals in the wild can defend themselves by running away from their predators. A squirrel can climb a tree and get away from his predator. A plant is stuck in the ground. Mm-hmm. They can't run away from a predator. So how does a plant preserve the species? How do they defend themselves from predators? They have toxins that God put in there to discourage the animals from eating them.
Okay.
So I know we've been told for decades that, vegetables are healthy. Mom told you eat your vegetables. She was right. There's a lot of nutrients in there. Yes, and fiber, necessary fiber. So I'm not recommending not eating any vegetables, but eat them the way the way that's going to make them as easy to digest and assimilate as possible. Because a lot of these plant defense chemicals will act as anti-nutrients and they'll interfere with the nutrient absorption. So you might, put a piece of broccoli on a lab and send it to a lab and look at the nutrients content in there. But are those nutrients bioavailable? Sometimes not, because there's plant defense chemicals in there that'll interfere with the absorption. So bottom line here is the best way to eat vegetables are peel the skin and cook them in a pressure cooker. I suggest investing in an Instant Pot. I have one. I love it. You can cook potatoes in about 10 minutes in that thing.
Yeah.
And if you've peeled them and pressure cooked them, you've done your best to reduce that amount of lectin and phytates inside of there that are going to interfere with that nutrient absorption and the digestibility of that food. When it comes to grains, grains have a lot of phytic acid. So do legumes and beans. So the best way to consume grains is sprouted and fermented in your bread if you can. Sourdough bread is the best kind of bread to eat. So you want to take grains and eat them in their whole natural form if you can. So soak them overnight, put them in water, and soak the seeds. And then, rinse it a couple times if you can before you go to bed. But soaking them overnight is great because it starts the process of breaking down the seed and makes it easier to digest, and you reduce some of the phytic acid content.
Okay.
And then sprouted is even better. So grains and beans, they give you gas for a reason because your body is struggling to digest them. Mm-hmm. Right? So soak them, cook them in a pressure cooker as well, and then eat them whole. If you had a whole wheat berry, it's going to look a lot like a grain of rice. And if you sprout them and cook them in a pressure cooker, they're going to be a lot easier to tolerate. And in the case of sourdough bread, that fermentation process actually breaks down the gluten, which is the protein that's hard to digest in wheat. So you can do things to balance your diet out and get some quality carbohydrates and make it easier on your body. So the less your body has to work, less stress your body has to go through to digest and extract the nutrients from that food, the better.
Okay.
All right. So I think you got some things to work with.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I don't think so. I appreciate
Okay.
your time.
Okay. Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Thanks. Have a great day.
If you'd like to do what Missy did and schedule a lifestyle audit with me, go to my website, christianhealthylifestyle.com/audit. Click on the orange button there, answer a couple of questions, and you'll be all set up. There is no charge. You'll be helping me make some great content for the show. Now make sure you stick around for next week's episode. We're going to be covering another topic that many people are interested in the new year, and that is how to handle your finances better. I'm talking with Christian financial advisor Ralph Estep, and we'll be talking all things finance. That's it for now. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Go out there and live abundantly. I'll talk with you next time. Be blessed.